Hi, this is Jeremy Moskowitz, and if you've made it here, you want to understand the PolicyPak methods. Now you know you can buy in at either the enterprise or professional or SaaS levels, but maybe you're a little bit confused about how you can take your licenses and use them across all the things and all the abilities for you, like Active Directory and Group Policy and MDM, Cloud, this thing called Hybrid, and SCCM and other on-prem utilities. And so this video is going to help you out here. Now, first and foremost, this is the matrix of what you can do, which is to say, if you're an enterprise customer, you can do these things. If you're a professional customer, you can do these things. And if you're a SaaS customer, you can do these things. Don't panic. I know there's a lot. I'm not asking you to memorize this because we're going to go into this in this talk. Okay? So the good news is that if you're an enterprise or professional customer, hey, look at that. You get all the things, okay? And the point is that you get to decide which method is right for you at the right time. For instance, if you're a group policy kind of company today and tomorrow you're headed toward MDM, you can see you've got that covered. Or if you are, you're using SCCM and you want to head over toward PolicyPak Cloud, hey, look at that. You're covered there too. So if you're an enterprise or professional customer, you're all the way covered no matter what. And we're just going to cover what those things are during this talk. Now, if you're a SaaS customer, okay, that basically means you have access to PolicyPak Cloud, but you might also be hitching a ride with something else like an MDM or an RMM solution, and I'm going to cover that here too. So that way you kind of have all your bases covered and understand it all. So don't panic, we're going to cover all this. The only thing you need to know is, are you going to be an enterprise customer, a professional customer, or a SaaS edition customer? And once you know that, then you can dial in and figure out in this talk what your methods are. Now remember, the only difference between the enterprise and professional editions is not the methods. As you can see, you get all the same methods. The only difference you get is what packs and components you're going to get. So for instance, you might want to get all the things. Well, all the things means enterprise. If you want to get some of the things, that means professional. So if you want to do like some of the Windows 10 stuff and some least privilege, that's great. That's professional edition. And if you want to do all the things, all the packs and all the components and so on, that is the enterprise edition. Okay? And for SaaS, you get most of the things. So we have that on the pricing page. You can see exactly what things you get if you're an enterprise, professional, or SaaS edition customer. This talk is just about the methods. All right? So what are the methods? Well, there's the GPO method, and the GPO method means that what do you get out of that? Well, you can deliver all of PolicyPak's special superpower settings, plus enhance Microsoft's group policy system. It's great. I love group policy. I wrote a big fat group policy book, and it was a group policy MVP for 14 years, but it needs a little help. And some extra bonus superpowers you get when you use the group policy method is you can reduce GPOs, you can put item level targeting on all of Microsoft's admin templates, which is awesome. And you can also do our special superpower loopback without loopback. Now, I can't go into that here. We got too much stuff to cover. But again, you can see if you use the GPO method, not only do you deliver PolicyPak superpowers, but you also get some additional group policy superpowers. Now, if you use the MDM method, what does that do for you? Well, you can use all of PolicyPak settings and all of Microsoft's group policy settings. A lot of customers are looking at MDM and blinking their eyes and saying, gosh, if only it did this group policy thing that I did for the last 10 years, that would be amazing, but it doesn't. Right, no problem. You can take all of Microsoft's group policy settings and all of PolicyPak's superpower settings and deliver it using your MDM. The cloud, what does that do? Very similar. It's our service though. So our service lets you deliver all of Microsoft's group policy settings and all of PolicyPak's superpower settings. Now, these two things sound like they're similar, and we'll talk about where they are and where they aren't down the line. Okay? Now, what's this crazy hybrid thing? Well, hybrid basically means you want to use PolicyPak Cloud, but you might want to bootstrap your installation of PolicyPak Cloud with something else. Maybe you've got an RMM or an MDM tool like an Intune or I don't know, some other RMM tool, and you already have connectivity to machines. You want to make your deployment more awesome. That's great. You can use your RMM or MDM tool to bootstrap and deliver the PolicyPak Cloud client, and then do all of the work with PolicyPak Cloud. So you can deliver all of your PolicyPak settings and all of your group policy settings that way. So it's a kind of a bootstrapper. And there's also the endpoint management method. What does this mean? This means you've got an SCCM, you've got a LAN desk, you've got a PDQ, and you don't want to use GPOs for some reason. That's totally fine. Some customers come to us and say like, hey, look, I love what you do at PolicyPak, but I'm on the SCCM team, and that's just how we want to deploy all the PolicyPak stuff. Can we do that? Heck yes, that's totally great, and I'm going to show you how to do that in this talk. Okay, so again, if you've got SCCM, LAN desk, or some other utility that you want to get PolicyPak's settings or Microsoft GPO settings and not have to use group policy, the engine, great. You can do that through any of these methods. Okay, so that's all the methods you can use. Now let's talk about why you would use a particular method. So when would you use the group policy method? Well, you'd use the GPO, which we also call the on-prem or AD and GPO method, if you're domain joined, right? Group policy, the method only works when you're domain joined. If you're using GPOs anyway, fine choice. We hook into the infrastructure you already use. You already know how to use it. And most of our demos on the website use GPOs because, well, a lot of people like to use that. Second, if you've got, or continuing, if you have WVD or VDI, that's a pretty good choice. You don't have to use group policy, but most of the time, if you're using WVD or VDI, you would use group policy. So, well, if you've got those things, you can just keep using the group policy method. Or if you've got Citrix virtual apps or desktops, same idea. That's basically VDI. And then lastly, if you have hybrid Azure AD join machines. Now, I want to making a special point about these because sometimes people are confused. They say, oh, I've got hybrid Azure AD join machines. Should I use GPOs? Should I not use GPOs? Well, let's just go right to Microsoft's documentation. Right here under hybrid Azure AD join devices, they just tell you that you should use group policy if you want to. You can also use Intune or SCCM if you want to as well. They come right out and say it. Group policy is A-OK for hybrid Azure AD join. So I just want to point that out here. If you like GPOs, you want to keep using them, we endorse you. You should, in fact, keep using them. Same thing here. If you look at Microsoft's stance around modern management, we consider ourselves to be a modern management platform. It still says group policy is the best way to granularly configure domain-joined Windows PCs and tablets connected to the corporate network using Windows-based tools. So that fits in here perfectly. And again, if you want to use Configuration Manager for additional stuff, we support that too. That's going to be in the next couple slides. So the whole point is that we work with whatever you want, with whatever you have, and group policy, as you can tell by our website, we have lots and lots of demos there. But this is why you would use the group policy method. So when would you use the MDM method? Well, if you've already invested in like an MDM service like Intune or Workspace ONE, if you use your MDM service to manage a single company, that's a good choice. I just want to point out the converse is not true. In other words, if you use MDM to manage 23 companies, you probably wouldn't want to use the MDM method. You'd probably want to use the cloud method. If you've got non-domain join machines, this is a fantastic way to go as well. You can use the MDM method as well. And once again, if you have hybrid Azure AD join machines, you can either use GPOs or MDM to get the job done. So either one of those methods is fine. So said another way, if you're already invested in an MDM service and you're headed in that direction and you just want to go that way, that's fine. We support you. You can do that using our MDM method. All right, how about the cloud method? Cloud method is great if you want an all-in cloud experience that just works. Now, I'm an MVP, and I like all the stuff that Microsoft is doing, but I have heard people say that, gosh, trying to get it all up and running with their cloud services stuff and their MDM and Intune and Azure, sometimes it's just maybe too much, or maybe that's a different group, but you still want to be all in on the cloud. That's not a problem. When you use our PolicyPak Cloud service, what we hear from people is that, man, it just works. It's one of my favorite things that people say is that our cloud service just freaking works, which makes me very happy. What if you're an MSP and you manage multiple companies or customers? Great. You're in the right place by using the cloud method. The cloud method is the only license method that we have that enables you to manage multiple companies and customers. So you have to be using the cloud service if you manage multiple companies or customers. And if you want to pay per month, again, that's what we call our SaaS offering. So the idea is that if when you're a SaaS offering, it's the cloud method only, and then you can pay per month with that. And by the way, the cloud method works for both non-domain joined or domain joined machines. Okay, so you're covered in that capacity. So the cloud method is great. It works if you're an IT pro, works if you're an MSP, and it works for domain joined and not domain joined machines. All right. The hybrid model, well, again, what the heck does this mean? This means you're using some other service to kind of get you bootstrapped into PolicyPak Cloudland. So for instance, you might have an MDM, an RMM tool that's already connected to all of your machines, and you want to bootstrap the install of the PolicyPak Cloud client. Not a problem. I'm going to show you how to do that in this talk, but that's probably when you would use the hybrid method. But then when it comes time to do the work, well, your RMM and MDM tool can't do the work. That's where PolicyPak Cloud comes in. So you're going to use your RMM or MDM tool to bootstrap, get the cloud client installed, make connection over to the cloud service, and then use our in-cloud editors and PolicyPak Cloud to actually do the work. The endpoint management method, okay, this is kind of shorthand for I don't want to use GPOs, right? So this is like I'm using SCCM or Landesk or something like that. So if you SCCM or PDQ or Landesk or Case or any other on-prem management tool where the computers are domain joined, then you're in good shape. Again, some people come to us and they say, look, I'm just not on the GPO team, but I want to do what PolicyPak does. Great, you can use any tool you want with the endpoint management method and you're off to the races, provided that computer is domain joined, okay? Now, all the methods here, the on-prem, the MDM, and endpoint management, they all use the same bits. What's the bits? Well, it's the client-side extension that you download from the portal. Here it is, the PolicyPak client-side extension. We all use the exact same bits. Very easy to deal with. You just decide that you got to get this out there. We'll talk about how to get that out there in just a couple minutes. What about the hybrid method and the cloud method? Well, technically it uses the same bits too, but you first install the Cloud Client MSI from PolicyPak Cloud. And this is going to join your computer to PolicyPak Cloud, and then underneath the hood, it automatically also downloads the client-side extension directly from PolicyPak Cloud. So we're all using the same bits, the same moving part that makes it go. The PolicyPak client-side extension makes it go, and it's the same client-side extension for GPO, MDM, SCCM, or cloud. It's the same one. However, in Cloudland, you just download the cloud client first, get yourself joined to PolicyPak Cloud, and then after that, the cloud client will do the work and download the client-side extension for you. How about creating and editing policies? Well, for the GPO, MDM, and SCCM land, what do? You create and edit your policies inside of the group policy editor. So you've probably seen a bunch of videos on that already, where I'm right-clicking, creating a GPO, managing either least privilege or Windows 10 or applications or whatever it is, and I'm doing the work creating and editing policies, okay? In PolicyPak Cloud land, what does this look like? We call it our in-cloud editors. So the idea is that you can just right here create a new policy, click on what you want, either all the Microsoft admin templates or group policy preferences or Microsoft security settings, or all of PolicyPak's specific settings. Well, not all. See, that's the thing. We can't do all of PolicyPak specific settings, but we can do a whole lot. And in other videos, we talk about how if you're a cloud customer, we highly recommend that you have a small offline, small scale test lab that sort of mimics the on-prem world. Why would we ask you to do that? Well, it gives you the ability to, from time to time, for items that we don't have in-cloud editors for you to take an on-prem GPO contents and shift it to use with the cloud. Said another way, again, if the cloud doesn't have an editor, well, you gotta use the on-prem editor first. Now, the good news is, after you upload it to PolicyPak Cloud, if we don't have the in-cloud editor, you can also take a policy that's in the cloud and bring it back to your MMC snap-in. So there are going to be some things that are like this, some things that will never have an in-cloud editor for, although most things have in-cloud editors. And as we progress, we're going to keep having in-cloud editors, but there are going to be just some things that we probably won't ever have in-cloud editors for. So to have a small test lab with a fake domain controller and a fake domain join machine to just do a little bit of group policy so you can do some small scale tests and then take that policy and put it in PolicyPak Cloud. Not a bad idea, and we recommend that through all of our videos and our documentation. Now, deploying policies. How hard is it to do? Well, with on-prem and GPO, drop dead easy. You've already done it. You've created a GPO and link, and then you click edit and you do the thing, and when you close the GPO, it's off and running. So deploying policies in group policy land is very, very easy. Deploying cloud, same thing. Very, very easy. Gosh, those icons, they look so similar. Yeah, that was the goal. So you can see here on the left, we've got AD and GPO in the Group Policy Management console. And on the right, we've got the Cloud console. It looks very, very similar. You can see the idea that we're trying to really give you group policy and PolicyPak through the cloud with our PolicyPak Cloud service. Now, for the other two, for MDM and endpoint management, how do you take policies that you created in GPO land and get them deployed using MDM or SCCM land? Well, what you do, like I said, you create the policies in GPO land and you can export them as XML files. we let you take those XML files and use our little utility called the PolicyPak Exporter utility. And what we're going to do is, you're just going to create a new MSI installer, suck in those XML files, and bang, out pops the exported MSI file. The exported MSI file you're going to use in MDM and SCCM or case or LandDesk or whatever it is. So here's what it's going to look like. In MDM land, you're just going to, well, we talked about this before. MDM land has to get the client-side extension out there, has to get the license file out there. Again, I'm going to show you this one again. And it also has to get the PolicyPak settings out there. That's this. This is a uploaded MSI file that has the stuff you want to deploy, and you target it toward your machines, and you are off to the races. Okay, well, what do we do for our SCCM or other utility that's like that, our endpoint management utilities? Same idea. You just put it on a share and go to town. It's exported MSIs that are really the group policy settings that you've saved, and they're going to be deployed this way. So we call this the not group policy method. So if you can use the group policy method or the not group policy method to get your directives deployed. Okay. How do you keep, switching gears, how do we keep the client-side extension updated? Well, in GPO, MDM, and Endpoint Manager land, how do you do this? You just download the latest bits from the portal, and then you get it deployed using whatever tool you like. If you are already using SCCM for software deployment, or PDQ deploy if you don't have anything already, or if you're already using MDM to deploy stuff, great. When we have bug fixes and updates and new features, and you need to get that client-side extension updated and out there, what are you going to do? Download it from our portal, get it over to your software deployment, whatever it is, and send it out there. Well, how do we keep the CSE updated for PolicyPak Cloud? Well, it's always available. Whenever we publish a new version, it's always available. And then you dictate per group. So if you have like a small scale test group, a medium scale test group, and then your large scale rollout, you just go over to the group and say, I want to zap this client-side extension over to them, and bang, they get new features and bug fixes just like that. Okay, so on the one hand, you might have to keep it updated with GPOs or MDM and endpoint management. And on the right, PolicyPak Cloud, it's always available and available per group. Okay. Now, I know some of you are kind of probably squirming and still like, I still don't know. Should I use MDM or the cloud method, MDM? I don't know. So I'm going to try to make this easy for you, okay? Look, if you don't have an MDM solution at all, but you want to do cloud stuff, I'm telling you, you're going to love our PolicyPak Cloud solution. It's fantastic. But now if you're twisted up about if you've got an MDM solution, what do you do? Well, you have a choice to make. If you want everything in one console, okay, look, that's fine. Then you might need to go with your MDM solution as the one console. Remember, though, you'll still have to, create the policies, export them, wrap them up, and ship them out using your MDM. That's totally fine. But if you want maximum flexibility, you could do that hybrid thing we talked about, where you can use your MDM solution to kind of bootstrap and get the PolicyPak Cloud client installed. Use your MDM for your MDM stuff, whatever you want to do there. If you want to do hardware inventory, something that we don't do, that's great. Or if you want to be able to nuke the machine from up upon high, something we don't do with your MDM service, that's fine. And then use PolicyPak Cloud for everything else, for your policy creation and your editing and finally your delivery. Perfectly fine. Okay, so if you're still twisted up, here's the cheat sheet. PolicyPak Cloud is about 10 times easier than trying to do the equivalent function in an MDM service, okay? So said another way, unless you need to be all in on an MDM solution, we recommend that you use PolicyPak Cloud. It's just a lot easier to get it done, and like I said, our customers will tell you that it just works, which is awesome. All right, let's talk about how to get licensed. If you're in the group policy land, MDM land, or endpoint management land, what are you going to do? Well, you're going to use our license tool, our LT tool, and it's going to help you count the computers on-prem and the computers that are eligible for MDM. And it will count that number and spit out a number at the end. And then you'll send this over to your sales team, and they will generate you a license key for use, either a 30-day key or a full key. And then PolicyPak Cloud, how do you get licensed? Well, we handle all that for you. So in PolicyPak Cloud land, you might be on the monthly plan or you might be on the yearly plan. It doesn't really matter. We have that handled for you already. All the licensing is just handled through PolicyPak Cloud. Now, if you are licensed for both things, if you're licensed for, if you're an enterprise or professional customer where you're licensed across all the methods, that's not a problem either. You get that you buy into a chunk of licenses and you can spread them across your GPO, MDM, SCCM, or endpoint management, and your cloud. So you can just spread it across all of it, and we just catch up at the end of the year if you're an enterprise or a professional customer. What do you do with a license file once you get it from us? Well, if you're a GPO or endpoint manager customer, you're going to go into GPO land and suck it in. And so here in this example, you can see in this GPO, I've sucked in my enterprise license. Enterprise license means you get all the components. You're licensed for particular scopes. So in Active Directory, you get one thing, and in Azure, you might get another thing. Oh, but wait, there is no Azure here. That's right. It's one license file that covers both things. Hold that thought for a moment. And then in PolicyPak Cloud, again, we just handle there is no license file. We just handle that for you. Okay, that's not a problem. Now, what about MDM land? What do we do with that license file in MDM land? Well, what you're going to do is this. You're going to take the license file we give you and zap it over to the machines that need to be licensed. And when you do that, those machines pick up the license and they're ready to go. Okay? So again, the three things to make it go in MDM land are the client-side extension, the license file, which you can see here, and also the settings. And we already talked about the settings. Now there's something optional here. If you're an SCCM or other kind of endpoint manager customer and you really don't like GPOs, that's fine. If you really don't want to use GPOs, you don't have to. The optional way to deploy your licenses, if you're in charge of the SCCM environment in your world, you can just drop the MSI licenses onto your endpoint, or you can file copy it. There's a couple. So basically, either one of those methods will work. You just got to get the license files over to your endpoints. You don't need GPOs. If that's something you want to avoid, you can avoid it. This is an optional step. So again, we have videos on all these things. I'm just kind of giving you the overview of what's possible here. All right, so here we are kind of at the end. What's the summary here? If you're using on-prem, MDM, or endpoint manager tools, you're going to use the group policy editor. Okay, that's the way we manage and edit policy settings today, even if that's not your deployment method, right? So if you want to create a policy for least privilege or Windows 10 or applications or whatever it is, that's great. You're going to have the group policy editor. You can use it in a little small test lab to get it done. And when you're done, you have to take those XMLs, the exported XMLs, and wrap them into an MSI and then deploy it using the not group policy method if you're using MDM or Endpoint Manager. All these methods use exactly the same client-side extension. You need to keep them updated, okay? And then you just download it from the portal. You update it using whatever method you like. And when we give you the license file, that's going to light up the desired methods. For instance, if you tell us, hey, yes, I'm an enterprise customer or a professional customer, but I only really need the GPO stuff, great. We're not going to light up the MDM or the endpoint management style. Or you tell us the other way around. Yeah, we are all in on SCCM and we just don't like that GPO stuff. That's fine. We're going to send you a license file that only lights up the desired method or methods you want. You will tell us. And in the hybrid or PolicyPak Cloud land, again, you're going to mostly use the in-cloud editor, but sometimes you're going to have to fall back to the group policy editor, which is, again, why we recommend you have a small offline test lab. It doesn't have to be real domain controller, just a fake one with a fake, computer as a domain join machine. Use some small scale testing there. So sometimes you'll fall back to the group policy editor. The client-side extension, that's always available in PolicyPak Cloud. You do need to keep it updated, and we give you the ability to toggle different groups, and we have videos on that, but you do have to keep it updated. And then lastly, the license for PolicyPak Cloud is in cloud. That's really all there is to it. So if you are a SaaS customer, I hope you were focusing in on the cloud stuff. If you're a professional or enterprise customer, remember, you get to use all the methods. All the methods you want, they're all available to you. You just take your licenses and use them across all the methods. And if you go overboard, it's not a problem. We just catch up next year where you rerun the licensing tool for all of your on-prem stuff. We know we just count that number. And then we just look at your number in the cloud and we do a true up and you're off to the races. So with that in mind, I hope this has been informative for you. If you have any questions, I'm happy to personally take your questions. But of course, the sales team is also available to help you through your journey. Thank you very much for being a PolicyPak customer. Looking forward to helping you out real soon. Thanks so very much.